Rams make a shocking move today on the defensive side of the ball that has many Rams fans confused, as well as the Rams defense being heavily disrespected by a PFF article that came out today. All that and more on this episode of Rams Digest. And welcome back to another episode of Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Finehirsh. And before we get into today's video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell so you do not miss any daily new Rams Digest videos, and turn that notification bell to all so that you really make sure you get notified. We just hit 3,600 subscribers yesterday, so Josh and I just want to thank everybody for their support as we are on the road to 4K by training camp. I do believe that that is possible here in a little over a month, so let's make sure to hit that subscribe button to start off training camp on a high. And before we get into today's main story, some breaking news from right before I started this recording that Alaric Jackson, starting left tackle, is not in Hawaii due to the blood clots that he is experiencing. That is expected that he wouldn't be playing, but it is guaranteed that he is not in Hawaii. So make sure to like this video for Alaric Jackson to help him heal. And now going into today's main story, the Rams earlier this morning on today, Tuesday, June 17th, the day I'm recording, brought back defensive back that they just cut, Darion Kendrick, and Rams Wire has more on that for us right now. Darion Kendrick wasn't a free agent for very long after being cut by the Los Angeles Rams on Friday. The fourth-year cornerback is on an NFL roster again, and it's the one he was just released from, which is definitely turning gears in my brain here as to why he was cut in the first place, because when he was cut, I did a video on this a couple days ago, so after this, go back and watch that if you haven't yet, but I thought this really signaled a move for Jair Alexander or Jalen Ramsey or Stephon Gilmore or someone like that, and it cleared up some cap space to get them to $22 million to easily take on Ramsey's contract, but that does not seem to be the case, and we don't know the exact Darion Kendrick contract that he agreed to. He was making a little over $1 million, and he ended up saving $3.4 million in cap space, as I mentioned. I don't know the exact contract. I scoured the Instagram and X accounts of Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter, as well as checked multiple Rams websites and news outlets, and his contract has not yet been leaked, the details, so we do not know that just yet. All we know is that he is a Los Angeles Ram heading into training camp. He still has to make the roster because after being cut, he will have an uphill battle to make this roster. On Tuesday, the Rams announced they have signed Kendrick, a surprising move considering he was waived only 4 days ago. The reason? Probably his contract. The Rams saved $3.4 million in cap space by releasing Kendrick, so it's likely they've brought him back on a much cheaper deal than the one he was set to play on in 2025. The terms of his new contract have not yet been released. Again, this Rams Wire article was from a few hours ago, and that is still the case till right before I was recording this video. And yeah, I do agree with this. I believe that this was an under-the-table type of deal at this point where the Rams said, hey, we're going to cut you, but if you agree to a cheaper deal, we'll bring you back. And Darion Kendrick's probably like, yeah, I like playing for the Rams. Might as well take a cheaper deal and come on back, play with the team that the only team I've played on in the NFL. So my early reaction is I'm not angry that he's back. I mean, Kendrick had a decent 2023. We'll see if he builds on that and see if he makes the roster. But it is quite confusing, as I said in the intro, because, well, besides the salary cap, why cut him? At that point, you maybe could have got some, maybe you get a 7th round pick for him. He's back on the team, which is fine. Again, Kendrick's not like a bad player, but it's not groundbreaking to where I'm like, oh wow, like this is massive, or this changes the cornerback room, because I had hopes of a Ramsey or an Alexander coming here, and then now getting Kendrick back. Again, it's fine, but it's just a bit confusing, and I want to know your reactions down below. Comment down below right now what you think of this signing. Do you think it makes sense for the Rams to bring back Darion Kendrick? Let me know down below in the comments. And Kendrick started 18 games for the Rams in between 2022 and 2023, but he missed the entire 2024 season due to a torn ACL suffered last summer. He'll now be competing for snaps in a quarterback room that features Darius Williams, Akella Witherspoon, Kobe Durant, and Emmanuel Forbes. Yes, Kobe Durant is still on the roster. I know some of you commented asking if Kobe Durant was cut as well. No, he has not been cut. As of today, he is on the roster. Everyone, including Darion Kendrick on the screen, is on the roster as of right now, today, around 4:50 p.m. on June 17th, 2025. Which is important because Kendrick is going to have to compete for snaps with these guys, as this article mentions. Again, I think Darius Williams and Nikello Witherspoon are definitely safe. They were on the team last year, starters last year. Okay, in their roles, but again, with that familiarity, year two of Chris Shula's defense, I think the Rams do lean on that. We'll see if Emmanuel Forbes beats him out. Emmanuel Forbes has had a really good OTAs, so we'll see if he continues that into training camp. And we'll see if the Rams still do make a trade. Maybe Kendrick is brought back on the roster to help facilitate a trade for Jalen Ramsey. I saw a report on Sports Illustrated Rams that maybe Jalen Ramsey talks fell through. That's only speculation right now, and then nothing's going to happen. Again, McVay has recently said from my last video that he is okay with the group he has now, but that is not necessarily a Super Bowl cornerback room that you think of when you think of great Super Bowl teams who just won recently. And remember to comment down below what you think of this signing. We'll see when the contract comes out. When the contract comes out, I will put a comment on this video with the contract, and you can respond to that with what you think of the contract as well. And also comment down below, do you think this is a serious issue for Alaric Jackson, the blood clots? Don't know if they've spread. Again, if a blood clot's contained, from what I understand, I'm not a doctor, but from what I understand, that when blood clots spread, like Chris Bosh in the NBA, he had to retire, unfortunately, when he was really still a pretty good player. He had to retire due to that, and obviously a guy like Victor Wembanyama, who just had it again in an NBA example, but it seems like he'll be back to start the year, so it just depends on how you treat that, get that taken care of. And remember, like this video for Larry Jackson. And some breaking news. We haven't really had any breaking news day of that was a massive report. Now to our second story of today, where the Rams defense was heavily disrespected in a recent article ranking defenses by PFF, and Sports Illustrated Rams has this story for us coming up right now. Pro Football Network's Kyle Soap is not one of those people ranking the Rams defense. Wrong image there, my bad. The Los Angeles Rams do not win the 2024 NFC West title without multiple suffocating performances by their defensive unit. The Rams defense stepped up, and with many players now entering their second or third year in the NFL, many believe this might be the year the Rams have a Super Bowl caliber defense. I do believe the defense will be better than last year's Super Bowl caliber. Yeah, mainly because the offense is why they make the Super Bowl, but the defense is definitely not as weak as it was last year. I do believe this defense will be better. And as you already saw, Pro Football Network's Kyle Soap, or Soppy, don't really know how to say his name, apologies there, is not one of those people ranking the Rams defense 24th in the NFL. Yeah, I disagree with this one, and we actually have a quote from him as to why he believes this right now, before I get into my opinion. That's now 3 straight bottom 10 defensive seasons for the Rams, and there isn't much hope for an instant fix, wrote Soap. Aaron Donald isn't returning. I still have my hopes up every day. And Los Angeles used just 1 pick in the first 4 rounds on this side of the ball. The Rams overcame this flaw and won 10 games the previous season. This weakness caps their ceiling in a significant way, and it projects to be the case again over the next 6 months. Again, the Rams, it shocked me they didn't take a corner or a linebacker earlier on. That's what really shocked me. Not the fact they only used 1 pick. They didn't have to go defense. The Rams didn't really have a pressing, we need this, because they've had solid players at all positions. So they went with what they thought was best player available in Terrence Ferguson, and he's been balling out at OTAs, and we'll see if that continues, and he's looked amazing. But again, 24th, you saw how they played to end the season. What makes you think they're going to go all the way back down? Again, they had some injuries earlier on in the year, like the offense. So again, we'll see how that plays out. But 24th, man, I don't agree with that. Comment down below your ranking of the Rams defense with the 32 teams in the NFL. I'll get to mine towards the end of the video, so make sure you stay tuned for that. That 1 pick being Josiah Stewart. The Rams also added Ty Hamilton and Chris Paul Jr., 2 players who had at least a 4th round grade. While we could sit here and talk about why the Rams do not deserve to be ranked 24th, hammering the point with examples like the Rams possessing both the 2023 and the 2024 rookie sacks leaders, or the 2024 NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year, not Player of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year. A little mistake there, but Case in point, that is why they're not number 24. I'm not saying the Rams should be 1. They're definitely not number 1. I'm not saying that. But 24? 24, I did not read this whole article from PFF, so I don't know where they were ranked, but they better not have been behind the Cardinals. Sorry, Cardinals fans, but your defense is probably bottom 5 right now. You're building it up. In a couple years, it'll be good, but right now, it's not necessarily where it should be. Yeah, this ranking, I heavily disagree with this. Again, we'll get to my ranking at the end, but this is bad, man. I heavily disagree with that one here, as we're going to get on with this one. We could talk about how the 2024 Rams were holding opponents to under 2 touchdowns a game on multiple occasions, or how they added Puka Nacua, Nate Landman, and others. More so Puka Nacua. I think he'll be huge for the run defense. However, instead of debating, let's take a different path. What would have happened for Soap's word to come true? Their first would have been a meltdown by the secondary. While most know what they're going to get from Darius Williams and Keller Witherspoon, how will CB Derion play? Yeah, that is the main question. Williams and Witherspoon are going to be solid veteran contributors out there, but CB Derion is that main question along with the depth. The depth, I understand the point, but the starters, I do believe, are good enough to not be ranked number 24 throughout the league. Again, that is far, far too low in my eyes to be ranked. Will Derion take that expected step? What about Emmanuel Forbes? What if the Rams do not acquire Jalen Ramsey? The second big question is the linebacker room. Is Landman or Paul Jr. enough for Omar Spates? Let's face the facts. Christian Rosebroom was the weak link on the defensive side last season, so what has changed? That is fair. Rosebroom no longer on the team. He was a good tackler. That was the one thing he did very well, was tackling, but besides that, was not really putting up big numbers or making an impact anywhere else. Yeah, the cornerbacks, definitely a question. The linebacker room, I like the signing of Nate Landman, and I like the pick of Chris Paul Jr. Again, Omar Spates looked really good to end last season, so I believe he alone is potentially enough to really warrant not being the 24th ranked defense here. Lastly, how would the Rams replace Jared Verse if they lost him? Is Josiah Stewart ready? Brennan Jackson? Maybe Soap's ranking is a bit much, but one bad roll of the dice and he might be on the money. No, he's not right on the money regardless. It would take multiple bad dice rolls for him to be on the money here. Yeah, but the Brennan Jackson thing is concerning. He did not play a lot last year, and I don't know if he's ready to take that next step. Josiah Stewart, I'm a fan of as a prospect. We'll see how he fits with this Rams team. Kind of a linebacker, edge rusher combo type player, which is a little bit concerning because the Rams do need to find that position for him, but I do like the measurables. I like his effort, and I think he is ready to make an impact for this team. Now we have to get to my ranking, and before we do, I got some stats that I'm going to read off for you about the Rams defense from last year. They had the 25th ranked passing defense, over 4,000 yards given up, 29 touchdowns, 13 picks though, so they were getting interceptions. They had the 25th ranked rushing defense. That's the big thing they have to improve on. 4.6 yards per carry is not going to cut it. Over 2,000 yards, 2,210, and 13 rushing touchdowns. And 20th scoring defense, giving up 22.7 points per game. So again, all that is close to a bottom 10 defense. But again, if you take the last 6 games, for example, it looks a lot better. Now for me, I would have the Rams ranked somewhere around that 16 range defensively. I think is pretty fair, right in that average mark. Because the depth is a question mark, but 24, man. Well, there's going to be, I might need to read this whole article. I don't even want to know who some of the teams are ahead of the Rams. Obviously, you got teams like the Broncos and the Eagles up there for defenses being the best in the NFL. And you have some good defenses in the division. Seattle's defense is decent. The Niners' defense is decent. Comment down below who you think has the best defense in the division. Because I think it's a pretty close race between the Rams, Seahawks, and the Niners for that. Now, for my prediction where the Rams rank, I said 16th. Comment that down below. I believe the rushing defense is going to get better. I think they're going to be around that 17-18 range. They do have to play Saquon and Derrick Henry, so that automatically might lower them a little bit. But again, signing Puka Nacua, that run stuffer from the Chargers, should help them a lot. Nate Landman had a pretty solid run grade in PFF as a linebacker. And if they do add Jalen Ramsey, he's a really, really good run tackler. So we'll see if that does happen. This is without Jalen Ramsey. If they add Jalen Ramsey, I'd put the Rams in that 13-12-ish range if they have Jalen Ramsey, just for the record. And the points per game, I think, are going to go down too, because if the offense, when they were healthy, they were able to put up more points, meaning the defense doesn't have to work as hard. So as long as the offense stays healthy, I believe the Rams should be around that 12th, 13th-ish scoring range, because Chris Shula and Raheem Morris, kind of a similar pattern of we're okay with yards, but we don't want to give up touchdowns. And Raheem Morris was so good at that with this Rams team, and I believe Chris Shula can keep doing that. And that's all for this episode of Rams Digest. Remember to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell so you do not miss any daily new Rams Digest videos covering all things Rams. Turn your notifications to all. Like this video for Alaric Jackson getting better from the blood clots and some breaking news. Comment down below, how serious do you think Alaric Jackson's injury is, and could this be a problem for the regular season? Comment down below what you think of the Darion Kendrick re-signing. I'm going to leave down below a comment with the contract once it comes out, so you can respond to that as well, what you think of the contract. And comment down below your Rams rankings. I have them at 16th defensively. Let's see where you have them. I've been your host, Joshua Finehirsh. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Rams Digest. I'll see you soon for another, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.